All right, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Bobby W223 here once again. And before I even really get into it, I'm gonna just go ahead and try try and explain myself like I normally try to, because sometimes you guys don't be quite understanding what my intent is, or you'll think I'm trying to be a fanboy or trying to hate. It's not that. This is literally just a legitimate question and more of a concern from Microsoft, and just more or less out of respect. Even though out of the big three, out of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, I don't like the Xbox as much as the Nintendo brand or the PlayStation brand and things like that, but I still do respect Microsoft and the Xbox, and I give them credit for some of the things that they've done and how they push this industry forward, as well as how Sony and Nintendo pushed the industry forward. Now, excuse me. That being said, let's go ahead and get into it. This is pretty much a question for you guys watching. Thank you for watching. What is it that Microsoft needs to do, in your guys' opinion, to, I guess you can say, quote unquote, win this up and coming generation? Because both generations that Microsoft has been in, they weren't the top seller. And don't get me wrong, I just like a lot of people say, I play games, I don't play sales, I'm that way too. But just far as this generation, I think, they really, Microsoft may really be like crushed, like this up and coming generation, unless they really have something under their sleeves. And the reason I feel that way is because at the end of the day, it comes down to the motherfucking games. And out of the big three, who has the least exclusives? You know what I'm saying? Yes, I know the exclusives that they do have sell, and those are very strong titles. And I like Halo, I like Gears. I'm not a big Forza fan. I'm not really a big Gran Turismo fan either. I'm not really a big fan of those kind of racing games. But Microsoft does have some good exclusives. But it seems that a lot of Xbox gamers, a lot of only Xbox only gamers right now, like people that only play on the 360. Right now, have over the last couple of years, it seems like a lot of 360 only owners or people that are primarily 360 gamers have been starting to, I guess you could say, wake up and realize that it really is about the games, and they're starting to realize that Microsoft is kind of lacking in that department. And it seems like a lot of those gamers are starting to question why they're paying $60 a year for Xbox Live. It's like, what is Microsoft gonna do, and what are they gonna offer next generation in the online department to really make people feel like, okay, yeah, I should pay for this, when Nintendo and Sony, it looks like they're gonna be doing, or in Nintendo's case are, in Sony's case will be doing enough to keep up with Xbox Live. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't believe that excuse me, I don't believe that the PSN and the Nintendo Online Network will be above or will surpass whatever Microsoft is going to do for the Xbox 720 or whatever they're going to call it in the online department. I still do feel that they will be the kings when it comes to online, network, infrastructure, all that stuff. That's what Microsoft shines in. And that's what I was getting at earlier when I said that I do give Microsoft credit for pushing this industry forward where they shine, which in my case is, or in my opinion, I should say, is, with the online and things of that nature. I'm very happy that somebody like Microsoft came along as competition in that respect, and that part of the industry, and that in that category of gaming. Because I really don't believe, if it wasn't for Microsoft, if it was just Sony and Nintendo right now, I don't think Sony or Nintendo's online would be where it is today. I don't think the Wii U's online, like the Miiverse and all things that they're doing, and they're constantly updating the Wii's online is going to get better and better. I don't think Nintendo would be where they're at right now if it wasn't for Microsoft. I don't think Sony would be where they're going with the PS4 or even with the Vita and things like that if it wasn't for Microsoft. So competition is always very important. Microsoft, they shine where they shine. Sony shines where they shine, and Nintendo shines where they shine. They all have their strengths. My thing is, from Microsoft, is this going to be enough? Is, cross game chat and, Nickelodeon, all jokes aside, but are these features going to be enough, or are people going to, it's basically my thing is if Nintendo's online and Sony's online, if they can just pretty much keep on pace with where Xbox Live is right now, even if it takes, a year or whatever, if they can pretty much get to where Xbox Live is right now, then even when, I'm not even gonna say if, but even when Microsoft's, online is better than that, because we all know is going to be better than where it is now. Like I said, Microsoft is pretty much the leader when it comes to online features and, all that social greatness. You know what I'm saying? So Microsoft will be the top dogs, in my opinion, once again, when it comes to that. But whatever they're going to do, is it going to be enough for people to not want a Wii U or a PS4? That's my thing. I think it's really going to come down to the games. And out of the three, they're lacking the most in games. And I'm not talking about sales. I know I brought up sales earlier with the consoles, but, all sales aside, they don't have as many exclusives as, Sony and Nintendo, especially Nintendo, Sorry, I keep coughing. If Sony can get back to, their old days of, advertising and things like that, with their games, and Nintendo, they always do a great job with their exclusives once they roll out. And by the time the Xbox 720 comes out, we know a lot of those big Nintendo exclusives will be out. So all this, Wii U hate right now will pretty much be gone in that respect, in that, whole situation or whatever. So between Nintendo and, Sony, if you're looking at all three consoles, and like for me personally, I'm getting a Wii U, I'm getting a PS4. I'm getting a Wii U this year. I'll probably get a PS4 like next year or something like that. We'll see. But for somebody like me and a lot of gamers out there, what is it that Microsoft needs to do in order to either make somebody want all three, or to get 2 out of the 3, but have the Xbox 720 be one of those two, if that makes sense? Like what is it that Microsoft basically needs to do to get people to buy this system? Of course people are going to buy it, but I mean, like, people right now, a lot of people I've either been, talking to personally, talking to online, videos I've seen, people that are like Xbox fanboys, Xbox fangirls, are like, look, like a lot of them are kind of starting to question Microsoft, like, yo, like, you guys really need to get on the ball. Like, don't get me wrong. Microsoft still hasn't actually unveiled the system. They could definitely do something crazy in the, online department and the games department and make people just completely blown away and just completely shit all over the Wii U and the PS4. We don't know yet, but that's the thing. Is like, what is it that they need to do? Like, I think that they really just need to start pumping out some games. I'm not saying that they got to come out with like a bajillion games, just some, just crazy amount of games, like a zillion or what, I'm over exaggerating, but they don't need to come out with like a ton, but more than what they have, especially since, their two big franchises either just came out or they're coming out this year. So it's like, what are they going to have at launch? They're either going to have to come out with some new IPs or really have some crazy ass features that people are like, whoa, like, I need to get this system. Otherwise, I feel that in the feature department, I feel that Nintendo and Sony is doing, enough, if not more than enough, in the features department. And they've both, Sony and Nintendo, I might say Microsoft, but I meant Sony and Nintendo, they're doing enough in the features department, and they, definitely have the games. And especially when it comes to Nintendo, people know Nintendo's games. So if they can just keep up in the feature department, which they're doing pretty good, and like I said, it's only going to get better with time. It's like, what can Microsoft say to counter Nintendo? What can Microsoft say to counter Sony if everything that Sony's been talking about, the whole Gaikai and streaming, all that stuff, if all that stuff works the way that they're talking about, and if it, evolves over time, and we don't even know what they're going to do with home and, this, whatever. It's like, what else can Microsoft do? Even if it is better, is that going to be enough? The same analogy, I'll put it like this. It's like PS3 right now, right? PS3 has better graphics than the 360, but there's tons of people that have a 360 and don't have a PS3, even though they realize that the PS3 has better graphics. The 360's graphics are still good enough, and they're still close enough, you know, that a lot of folks don't really give a shit. So that's what I'm saying. If like Sony and Nintendo can be on par or at least close enough to whatever Microsoft's gonna do next generation with their, you know, online, all that stuff, then it's like, what else will Microsoft have? Because Xbox Live, that was a big, you know, reason why a lot of people mess with the 360. So it's like, look, if they don't have the games to support it, if it's they're going to try to do this third party multi-platform type of thing again, and you got all three systems with a lot of the same games, and you know, also with the big exclusives for Nintendo and Sony, it's like, what will be the reason to get an Xbox? And this is no hate. This is really just a legitimate question. You know, what do you guys think Microsoft is going to do next generation? What do you think that they need to do to counter Nintendo and Sony? Because those guys aren't playing. And like I said, I think it's because of Microsoft that Sony and Nintendo have stepped their game up in the social online department, because, you know, that's been a weak point for Sony and Nintendo. And they've seen how successful Microsoft has been, and they've seen how important that is to gamers to be connected and all that type of stuff. But now that they've, you know, they're getting there and they finally are figuring this out, and they, you know, they're doing what we want in that aspect, on top of all the games that, you know, we know and love, and these, you know, new IPs that seem to be pretty cool. And, you know, that you know, in the day, the games are the most important thing. So if you don't have the most important thing, you know, this generation, and the other two competitors also have, you know, they're pretty much on par with what you know, most people know your console as, you know, being the online system. If the other two systems have just as good of an, you know, overall online service, or pretty close to it, it's like, what are you gonna do? So just, you know, let me know what you guys think. If you didn't understand what I meant by this, let me know. I'll make another video or whatever. Podcast should be coming soon. We may do one on our reaction of the PS4 event first. Otherwise, stay tuned for our Microsoft predictions. We'll go more in depth with what I'm saying. But I just had to say that. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, Bobby W223. Peace out.